Hello, John here for yet another Saturday. Can you believe where this time goes? And a little bit closer to that 24th birthday I keep talking about. Anyway, what I've got for you today is another review. I don't know, probably halfway through my oil pastel collection, I don't know. But I recently bought a brand new set of oil pastels. It's only a 48 set, it's the maximum they do at present. Keep watching. But this one is going to be quite fascinating. We're going to review these. These are the new Amazon Basics oil pastels. Now, I've scoured YouTube to see if there was any more reviews on these, and there isn't. There was one review from about a year ago, but the oil pastels were actually different to these. They were different in their size, they were different in the fact that they were square with a pointed end, and these are just like normal oil pastels. And at that point this lady only had a 36 set, and that's the only video that I've come up with. But I'm finding this quite fascinating. Now, the Amazon Basics coloured pencils are actually quite good. I'm not going to say you could use them as a professional, because Amazon Basics don't give you hardly any information, do they? That's a bit unfortunate. I think Amazon Basics, if there is any substance to these pastels and their coloured pencils, would do far worse than to actually tell us what's in them, and if they do have any degree of light fastness, and at what level they would pitch them in at. They could probably charge just a little bit more then. So I'm going to review these, and as usual we're going to do the blending test, and I'll see you over at my desk. So let's have a look at what we've got here then, shall we? So on the front of the package it says Amazon Basics oil pastels 48 colours. That is all you get. On the sides it pretty much says just the same. So I'm going to turn the packet over and we'll see if there's anything on there. Well, there is something. It says, not suitable for children under 36 months. Small parts, choking hazard. Made in China. And bizarrely, and this is the first time I've ever seen this, it says a shelf life of 5 years. Now, that does raise the question, does that mean that's pretty much the same for most oil pastels? I don't think so, if I'm being honest, and I would be curious in 5 years' time to see if these are still usable. But I really don't understand why they put that on there unless they know for certain and have been testing them for 5 years whether or not they have that life, that shelf life. And it says conforms to ASTM D4236 standards. You get that on most oil pastels nowadays. It's all about whether they're safe and all that sort of stuff. And I believe I read somewhere that there is an element of the light fastness within that code, or within them instructions. I'm not sure, but I thought I read that somewhere. Right, let's have a look inside the package. There's not a lot to say at the moment, is there, apart from the fact that they will only last 5 years. And I think most people keep their oil pastels probably for a lot longer than 5 years, unless they're painting every week and every day. So let's have a look inside. Okay. Now, there was a foam insert in here, if I remember rightly, but I think I've took it out. So look at these colours. I have to say, my first reaction is they look good, and the colour selection looks really good. You know, there's all your standard colours, but it's as good as any selection you'll get in any other box, and there is 4 whites. Let's have a look on one of the pastels and see what we can see. Well, nothing. It just says Amazon Basics. So that's all you get. Now, I do feel that if there is anything good about these, they are missing a trick. And at the moment, without any of this knowledge of what they can or cannot do, they are actually, in my opinion, not expensive, but they're not the cheapest either. I think you can get different oil pastels. I'm not going to say better because I haven't tested them yet, but I'm going to say you can get different pastels about the same price. At the moment, I believe these are around about £12 on Amazon UK. I have seen them at more expensive at about £16, but I also have seen them on an offer at £10. So, you know, you can get better branded oil pastels. However, let's test them out and see what they're like, shall we? As usual, we're going to do that blend and test. So as usual, I'm going to focus on the purples to begin with a bit of blue, and blend them into each other. So I'm just going to lay this purple on here. Yeah, that feels okay. It's a firm pastel, there's no denying that. And it feels quite slippery. In fact, it reminds me, with the slipperiness, of how the Hoare ones felt when I first used them. But having said that, layering that on there, it does look a little bit patchy, so I'm going to assume that's a translucent colour. So I'm going to blend a dark blue into that. I would say again, this looks like a translucent colour. I would say there's probably more oil or wax content in these than there is actual pigment. Can't really see how that layers over the top of that, but we'll use a darker colour to see what we can get. So let's use this brown, shall we? That's more of an opaque colour. That's laying on there a lot better. So it might just be the translucent or transparent colours that are a bit patchy. Just kind of layered on there okay. That's much nicer. I'm just going to use another brown to see if that's opaque as well. Yeah, that looks opaque. The opaque ones feel a lot better. In fact, they feel quite good quality rather than the transparent ones. Shall we try another colour between purple and brown? Again, that seems to be laying on better. It's kind of layering in to some extent. I'd say they're reasonably creamy, but not fantastic. These two colours in particular are very patchy because they're probably translucent or transparent. But these three colours look actually quite nice, so I'm just going to blend them gently. Not bad. They're coming up a little patchy, but I think if you were to let them dry for a day or two and then go over them again, they'd probably layer quite a lot better. But there's not too bad a blend going on there. The opaque colours are quite nice. Not so good when we get into the transparent colours, unfortunately. They don't seem to be laying on there very well, the purples and the purples and the blues. They seem quite patchy. That's such a shame because these three seemed really good. They have a reasonable amount of quality to them. These ones are just kind of glooping up. Oh, that's such a shame. These more opaque colours are spreading as you'd expect an oil pastel to spread. And that's a semi-transparent, and that's kind of bordering on that. So from this, I'm going to say that the opaque colours seem really good. The transparent colours look a bit patchy, and the semi-transparent is kind of bordering between the two. That's the impression I'm getting. They're blending reasonably, and they will spread out. They're not too bad. I definitely have used worse. You can see a bit of patchiness there where I've just sort of dug into that. So in that case, you just have to blend a little bit gentler. So you're getting patchiness there, good quality here, and a semi range there. Okay, let's just try green, shall we? Again, that's looking quite patchy. Not as patchy as the purple though, not yet anyway. Let's try a yellow. Yellows are normally opaque-ish. Yeah, this is opaque. Laying on better than the transparent colour. Oh, I brought a lot of that green down into that, never mind. You can basically see what I'm doing. And we might as well try a red as well, mightn't we? Again, that looks like it's an opaque colour. I kind of think it's kind of not a lot different to a lot of mid-range pastels at this moment in time. We just blend that together. No need to press hard. Semi-transparent by the look of that one. Blending into the yellow, not too bad at all. Sorry about the mess in the yellow, but you'll get the idea. That's blending quite nice. I mean, obviously the more work you put into it, the better it's going to be. And then we go up into the green, and that's not too bad. Yeah, that's not too bad. I've seen worse. I've seen far worse. Not bad. That's mucky. I'm sorry about that. Let's just see if we can cover that up, shall we? I don't expect I'm going to. That's not bad. It could be a lot worse. I'm pressing quite hard now, so you can see I'm getting a lot of colour in there. Yeah, not bad. Not bad at all. Not brilliant, but reasonable. So let's see how the white goes over, just because we can. That, oh wow, I did not expect that. That's actually really good. Look at that. That is actually one of the better whites I think I've ever seen. I did not expect that. So I can do a light line, a thick line. Oh my God, that is incredible. Really never expected that. So my impression so far is, apart from the purple and the blue, which I'm going to assume at this point are transparent colours, so they kind of can look a bit patchy anyway, these are not bad oil pastels. Not bad at all. I think, again, like I said before, if Amazon were to come up with a few more pieces of information, such as if there's any light fastness, possibly pigment information, one of the main things I'd say really right now would be to tell us whether they're opaque, semi-transparent or transparent colours. That would be a great idea, so we can kind of judge things based on some knowledge. But I'm going to say these are actually reasonably good. They have their downside, but they have their upside, and that white, I'm just so impressed with that. So let's see about the pilling. I'm going to do this bit first. You can see that the purple and blue are pilling. Let's go down here into the browns. Yeah, they're pilling. Not quite as bad though. and then you get down to here and it peels again. You can see all this patchiness in here, and especially there. So yeah, it's kind of what I expected. Not too bad. Well, not bad at all. I have seen far worse and played with far worse than these. There are better oil pastels at the same price, but then there are worse oil pastels at a more expensive price. So you're going to get something out of these, there's no doubt about that. And in fact, you could probably get quite a nice picture. I'm not overly impressed, but I'm not bitterly disappointed. Well, that was a kind of an odd review, wasn't it? I kind of expected it, to be honest with you. I expected them to be reasonable, but I didn't expect them to be great. And I think that's kind of where we lay. I think what we've got here with Amazon Basics is a mid-range oil pastel. I would say these are better than like your Pentels, but I'll do a comparison at some point. And in fact, I'd say some of these oil pastels, especially the opaque ones, for me, personally, are going to be better than like the Hahayas, because I find them very transparent. So they are an oil pastel that you're going to get something out of. They're going to be great for a beginner. I'd say as a professional, absolutely not. And the reasons for that is because you're going to get that patchiness in some of these colours, and also they don't give you enough information. But yeah, they're not bad. They're not bad. I hope I have given you the information that Amazon Basics haven't given you. I'd say they're well worth having a go with. Definitely. Definitely well worth having a go with. So what am I going to give them pointage wise? I think if it was based on the blues and the purples, I'd probably be looking at about a 3, possibly a 4. But with the opaque colours, I'm probably looking at 6 and 7. So somewhere in between that, taking into account all the facts that some of them colours are good, you might end up with a few colours that are not so good. I'm very impressed with the white, so that's good. And I'm going to say I'm going to average it out at 5. So they're not going to be the best, they're not going to be the worst, and you will get something out of these. But of course, like all oil pastels, you've got to make sure you've got the right paper and the right texture of paper. So I hope that was a good review. I hope you like what you heard. Please remember that my memberships are back up and running. I've had 3 people rejoin already over the course of the month, hopefully some more. And you have the chance to become a member. And if you don't want to become a member, but if you do find a particular video interesting or useful, then you can make what they call a super thanks to me. And all you have to do is press the 3 buttons, or the 3 dots I should say, that are at the bottom of the video. And that'd be self-explanatory from there. Of course you don't have to, but it'd be nice if you could. And it does help my channel to grow. Please like the video is important, and please comment is very important if you want to. So for another week, wherever you are, please have a great day, a great week and a great year. And until the next video, bye for now. And be kind. Bye.